p.m. on Tuesday, October 7th. I, Caden Sipe, call this meeting to order. This time, can we get a roll call, please?
Here.
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 Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, I have got a quick addition I would like to add to the agenda under City Manager's Report, a 5.4, a housekeeping item labeled Meeting Decorum. Other than that, that's currently how the agenda is laid out with that amendum. Is there any questions on that from council? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, back to last session's question. When can we expect planning commission nominations?
Me and Zach met about that this afternoon briefly. He'll be sending me over the documents of who's been selected, and we're going to get that to us as fast as possible. So I'll get that back to you guys as soon as Zach gives me a phone call, and we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay. Any other further questions on the agenda as it currently stands? This time we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of item 5.4.
Thank you for that motion. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Moving on now to the city manager's report, Dave, for item 5.1.
Yeah, so invoices were presented in your report and published on Friday. Just any questions that you might have on that. I apologize. Melissa is not able to be here tonight, so I should be able to answer most, but there may be a drill down that I may not know.
Any questions from council at this time? Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Dave, moving on to 5.2.
Scott, if you can give us an update on Madison and Powerline, please. Zach, you got a microphone there for him. Thanks.
Everybody here? Mariners won 8-4. So,
Thanks, Scott.
so we just want to give a quick update. Yeah, okay. So anyway, we kind of I want to give you an update on where we are in Madison Powerline. I know we had originally by now this project was supposed to end this week and be completed. And I know if most of you in the loop as we've talked before meetings, after meetings, and just basically whenever you guys were around to kind of give you an idea. But I wanted to make sure, Dave wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of where we're at. Just take a few minutes. I'll kind of give you the Cliff Note version. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. Cliff Notes. That's how I graduated from college. But anyway, so basically, the project was supposed to be completed now, but as we went along and talked to you guys, we've managed to tell you about a lot of things that were found that we didn't know were in the ground, and a lot of things that were supposed to be in the ground weren't in the ground where they were, elevation wise, on and on and on. I don't want to bore you with all the details, but this is where we're at now with the time of year, with construction, with everybody trying to finish up right now and get things asphalted and ready for the winter conditions. What we've come up with Tapani, who's been a very good partner through all of this, they've, they understand construction as well as we do, and we obviously would have liked to have been completed by now. But where we're going to be is they will be working Saturday. I did send out a notice today for first responders and those folks. They will be working Saturday, probably from 7 to 7 to finalize grade, get everything ready on Madison Street itself. Monday, they'll do a quick one over, make sure they're all prepped up. They're supposed to pave Tuesday, weather dependent, Tuesday, Madison Street and Jefferson and Pierce and those areas that have been disturbed. They'll knock that out with what we call the first lift, which is a 2-inch of asphalt. Typically on a construction project with a road project, you have 4 inches of asphalt to complete. You do the first 2 inches and then you get finalized a grade and you get it right on. what we're doing right now is kind of backwards but yet it's been done a lot, and we've seen it done other places just because we need to get something that if the weather changes on us in a hurry, that we at least have asphalt down and we're not tracking mud, and people aren't tracking mud to all their stuff, and the kids have somewhat of a safe place to walk. Hopefully we're going to continue to keep them going through up Pierce and Tyler in those streets for right now. So they'll lay down 2 inches of asphalt and they'll go a little bit wide with that. Then they'll come in next week. The curb gutter and sidewalk guys will come in, which they usually put their stuff down first, but they can do that in freezing conditions. We can't asphalt in freezing conditions once the plant shuts down. So we're kind of putting the cart before the horse type of, if you will. So we'll put 2 inches of asphalt down. They'll saw cut that. They'll put up the curb gutters and sidewalks. They'll go get those formed and we'll get those poured. If we end up with a long, beautiful fall, Indian fall, and the batch plant stays open, which I never count on, up until that Thanksgiving time frame, we would could potentially pave the last 2-inch lift on Madison. That there's a lot of variations that go with that. A lot of times it's the contractor doesn't like to do that because they don't get as quality of asphalt that time of year. And we obviously want to do it right. So we are going to get those things done. We're going to get the lighting up. We're going to get the sidewalks in so that the kids have a sidewalk to walk on and on Madison and get it there. And then after this week, they'll continue up Power Line. Power Line will get tore up, but it'll get hot patched as well. It will not be the final asphalt on Power Line either. So we'll get that all in. They'll hard patch it, get it ready, get it in case the weather moves in on us. And then potentially we would pave first, second, third week of March, depending on how that would go. But it gives us a hard surface to plow on. It gives us a hard surface for the cars to drive on and for us to be safe. That's the main goal. And so I know we were all looking forward to that all being open, but we're, it's construction and we kind of have to remember that. And so I appreciate everybody's patience. We will be going through and letting the folks know that live up there. We'll be putting it on social media that we're working Saturday and kind of a game plan on where we're at and that kind of stuff. So I've already reached out to Ms. Sipe, who's here, and talked to her about it today. The other update is that we will be, I talked to ODOT today. They've had a bit of a delay. They were supposed to have had the new crossing at Yurts open by the time school opened. Yada, 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 on and on and on. And but I talked to him today that all that material is supposed to be shipped and into Hermiston either by the end of the week or first of next week. And we should see their crews starting to install that crossing at Yurts and 730. And so we're looking forward to that too. And their goal is to get that done before the snow flies so that we've got another crossing and the kids are safe as well. So they found some money and so they were able to take care of business. So we appreciate them for their support and all that good stuff. So other than that, that's what I have. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. There was one other thing. We had a little bit of mishap. Kids are running across the street on Grant going down to the school, and because there isn't a good place to cross down there and they're cutting through different areas. That's what we all did when we were kids. The shortest route is usually the best route when you're a kid. So, but I've talked to the superintendent, Ms. Sipe, and we've got a game plan moving forward. So we're going to look at putting in an additional crossing down Grant someplace. And then by the time all the sidewalks get done and we get all that stuff done, we should be in good shape. So that's way longer than I wanted to go, but I'll be glad to answer any questions for you. And I appreciate everybody's patience on this project.
Yeah. Scott, as in Saturday, mean this Saturday?
This Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Tuesday, when they start the paving, is Pierce, Madison, Jefferson, and that little stretch of McFarland all going to be closed at the same time?
So typically they close one side of the street and they flag it so that the other side, everything can run up the other side.
Okay.
And then I can't guarantee that. Depends on what the weather conditions are because they need a chance for it to set up. Usually by the time they're done with one side, they switch everything over to pave on the other side. You can drive on that other side. We're going to look at the weather and see where that is, but they will have detour routes up. They'll have all that stuff there. That's what they're supposed to do. And that's in their contract. And so they've been fairly good at that. Once in a while, a sign ends up at another person's house when kids are walking by, but we got to appreciate that because I was that kid once. So anyway, I appreciate the humor in some of that. So anyway.
Yes, I see it.
That's why you work what you work at, right? That's
Yeah.
you found a way.
So anyway,
Thank you.
Any further questions from council this time?
Nope. Thanks, Scott.
thank you all for
Yeah.
your support. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Scott. Keep up the good work. Really appreciate it. Moving on now to 5.3, Dave.
Excuse me. Yeah, just a quick update as far as a reminder. Tomorrow night is the open house at the Umatilla Police Station. It's our information open house on bond measure 30-168. That begins at 6:30. From 6:30 to 7 is time allotted to do a tour of the station, and then from 7 to 8 o'clock will be presentation and Q&A. So if you're able to make that, or if not, that's okay. Just share with his friends and family and as many that might be interested. On a similar note, sticking with police, on Saturday at 8 a.m. is Coffee with a Cop at Java Junkies. Is that right, Chief? All right, make sure I got that right. So opportunity there to meet with Umatilla Police Department and ask any information or questions you might have of them for that. Other than that, those are the only two announcements I had.
Okay, awesome. Then moving on to our housekeeping for this evening, 5.4. Dave, would you, or can we pull up that page real quick that we discussed earlier?
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. I talked with Bruce briefly about this, and I want to just reiterate that I want to make sure that as mayor that we're having decorum between each other, being respectful, and we're trying to be on good terms. So I wanted to highlight briefly a section of our code real quick. And I'm going to be following this a little bit closer than in past meetings. And I want to make sure that we are holding ourselves to that and also holding myself accountable for this as well. So on there, it talks about where the presiding officer will recognize who is speaking and, to each other. And we're going to make sure we're giving each other space. We're not going to be talking over each other. Dave, would you do me a favor real quick? Would you read I can't read it from here.
Yeah,
I'm
no
too
problem.
blind.
So I'll just read it verbatim and then you can have your summary discussion there if that's all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Code 162A presiding officers states that these procedures shall apply to formal policy decisions and briefing sessions and any special meetings of the city council. The mayor shall be the presiding officer at all meetings, and the city council shall have a voice in all of its proceedings. Council members shall speak in council meetings only upon being recognized by the presiding officer, whose recognition shall not be unreasonably withheld. In the event of the absence of the mayor, the council president shall be the presiding officer. In the event of the absence of the council president, the mayor shall designate the presiding officer.
Okay. I really want to just make sure that we're enforcing this. We're making sure that we're giving each other space to speak and ask questions in a safe environment. That we're not talking over the top of each other. And looking forward to instituting that this meeting and then moving forward as well, making sure that we are continuing to have decorum. We're still acting in a professional mindset. Any questions from council this time? Or Dave, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I was also just gonna, if it's all right, Mayor, section D1 kind of goes over a little bit more, what you talked about in that procedure sort of being recognized. It would be all right if I read that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So section D1 is decorum and debate. It says when a measure is presented for consideration to the council, the presiding officer shall recognize the appropriate individual to present the case. When two or more members wish to speak, the presiding officer shall name the member who is to speak first. No member of the council shall interrupt another while speaking. So that's kind of the point you're talking about. So just recognition. So-and-so goes first, so-and-so goes next.
Thanks, Dave. All right. If there's no questions from council, we're going to move on to our first public comment section. I don't know if I can find the right script. Thanks, Nancy, for putting them in order for me. I appreciate you. This public comment segment allows community members to share their opinions, raise concerns, and provide information directly to the city council. Comments should address city-related issues and must not pertain to items scheduled for a public hearing on the same evening's agenda. If you wish to speak, please complete the sign-up sheet, including the topic in which you wish to address. Please begin by stating your name and address when called to the podium. Speakers are allotted 5 minutes unless otherwise directed. Please note comments criticizing city programs and operations are permitted during the segment. However, criticisms of individual city employees is not allowed during public comment period. Concerns regarding city employees should be submitted in writing to the city's human resource manager for proper review. Thank you for cooperation. First to the microphone, we have Miss Mia Paget. You can skip me. Yeah. You're good. Thank you.
Okay. Is that good?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm Mia Paget. I live at 404 Walla Walla Street in Umatilla. Hello, and thank you for this chance to speak with you. I would like to thank you for continuing to improve noise mitigation so that Rock the Locks is more bearable for neighbors who live near the stages. The city added more measures this year to try to help with the noise issues, raising the sound barriers, using more advanced sound equipment, and setting a contractual noise limit at the mixing table within the venue. These changes gave us some hope, but they did not give neighbors any assurance that the uncomfortable low-frequency vibrations would be resolved. So some of us, once again, had to choose to leave our homes for all or part of the festival. Your city staff has undertaken an enormous effort with this festival and succeeded in many ways. Congratulations for those aspects. But it is still a very significant disturbance for those who live the closest. Work is still needed so that we are not forced to leave our houses or be so negatively impacted every year due to the festival. I informed you all, hopefully, before the festival this year that it was forcing me to leave for the sake of my health. I appreciate that some of you read and responded to my email. Your responses imply that you feel the city has done everything possible to reduce the noise. Yet it has been clear that there is more that the city can do if it so chooses. The most effective way to protect neighborhoods near outdoor festivals is to establish a noise ordinance for sound levels adjacent to houses and put in place a strict system by which those levels are monitored in real time during the festival and sound equipment is adjusted if noise limits are surpassed. On Wednesday, 2 days before this festival, Dave Stockdale informed me that you already have the tools to do this. So I suggested that they conduct sound tests in conjunction with the neighbors prior to the start of the festival. Dave Stockdale accepted, and for the first time in 3 years, Mr. Stockdale came to some of our houses so he could see and measure the impacts of noise variations at our houses as compared to the mixing table. The sound engineers and production team worked prior to the festival to make adjustments so that the noise was more bearable, more tolerable at our houses. This was great. At least beforehand and during much of the weekend, the noise was kept below 65 dBA. That's the higher frequency noise. I'm not going to the DBC right now. At our house. This made it tolerable for my partner who does not suffer from a chronic pain condition impacted by vibrations. Sound checks prior to the festival were also made at 2 houses closer to the second stage. Unfortunately, the target levels used there were higher at 70 dBA, and these levels were apparently surpassed many times throughout the festival, leaving yet another poor experience for neighbors living closer to stage 2. This pre-festival testing was greatly appreciated, but it proves the obvious point. Setting a noise threshold at the mixing table is a useful part of the noise management strategy, but is not enough. Noise at the mixing table does not correlate directly with noise at the houses. And not all houses will be impacted in the same way at the same time. This is why a neighborhood noise level limit is needed, and it needs to be monitored and respected throughout the entire festival weekend, not just at the outset. If you are not sure what threshold of unacceptability, that's what Dave Stockdale called the noise limit they were aiming for, should be used to set your noise limits, then put in place a clear plan to conduct thorough testing in conjunction with neighbors prior to the next festival so that those levels can be established. Otherwise, I would suggest using the level of 65 dBA, which was used at our house this year. That is still probably too high to allow me to stay home throughout the festival, but it was tolerable for my partner when he was in our house during the festival. Some people in Umatilla appear to think that we have been compensated for all of these disturbances. We haven't. Aside from festival tickets, which are made available to half of McNary, those of us closest to the stages have not been compensated in any way for all we have endured. We're having to make alternative arrangements and pay for travel and hotels, for having our backyards look like a Walmart distribution center truck lot for over a month each year, and for spending many, many hours working with the city to try to fight for our rights to stay in our houses safely. The city has made vague references to a possibility of getting funding for making noise-reducing modifications to our houses, but no concrete proposals have been suggested. When one neighbor asked for reasonable reimbursement of hotel expenses for the weekend, the city manager refused, saying that all neighbors would have had to agree to that at the outset of discussions about noise mitigation. That is ludicrous. Your own sound engineering reports explain that noise propagation is not uniform. Acoustic properties of houses are not all the same, and people do not all have the same sensitivities to noises. And you know that some of the nearer neighbors have disabilities that make excessive noise directly detrimental to their health. Enough is enough. Treating us like guinea pigs 3 years is enough. Please implement a more rigorous plan, which includes neighborhood noise limits that are monitored and respected during future festivals. Thank you.
Thank you, Mia.
Thank you. So it's the same thing that everyone else got. It's the same script. Is that okay, or do you need it? Thank you. It's the same thing you got. Oh, you don't have one? Here, then to keep this one as your copy. Thank you again, Mia. Next up, we have Valerie Bradley.
Valerie Bradley, 732 J Street. And I'm just wanted to come in and check on the update, maybe on some of the things we're doing down on 7th and 8th Street. I appreciate that we got the lights replaced. And but we all know that's not enough. And I just want to be a reminder that we can't just do one and done. I feel like we got all excited and we had that meeting and let's go. And then now what? And I haven't seen any more. The police, thank you for what you guys have been doing, but I haven't seen much of them lately. I know there's other things going with Rock the Locks, but we're still there. And we still have people racing down our streets and we still have people running the stop signs and it's still happening. So I just want to be a little reminder that it still needs to be taken care of. It can't be one and done. The street lights are just not a fix. It needs to we need to feel safe and we don't. It's dark out there still. So that's all. I just wanted to know that I'll be here reminding you guys that we're still down there and we still need these things done. And you know, everyone's willing to work with y'all to do whatever we need to do to help out, but we need to be in a safe neighborhood and it's not safe down there. So did they ever catch the shooters? Can you tell me? I don't even, you know, whatever. So how long before they relax enough and there's more? Someone's going to get hurt. So that's all I want is just to let you guys know. And it's from me and my neighbors. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bradley. Next, we've got Scott. Nancy, did she say her address? Thank you. Next, we've got Scott Lucas.
Hello, my name is Scott Lucas. I live at 28123 Highway 730, Umatilla, 50-year resident, the class of 1981. So this is my wife and our family's second year attending Rock the Locks. We went the first year. Be honest with you, we were on the fence in the beginning of Rock the Locks. We weren't able to attend in 2024. But never was opposed or for. I was just kind of neutral on Rock the Locks. Came to the council meeting earlier in the year and seen the opposition and the for, and I was impressed from both sides. This year, friends and family, we had 17 members that attended Rock the Locks. We had six friends from the Tri-Cities and one from Redmond, Oregon. They're all just blown away. They were just amazed. Every one of those people will be back. So we've changed a little bit. We're a little bit more on the, well, not a little bit, a lot more on the pro side of Rock the Locks. I felt in 2023 when we went, in 2025, it was well run by the parks, the city. It was well organized, clean. I just didn't see the crowd there. And some of the language on the music was a little extreme that first year. When I went this year, there's not going to be any show where there's not going to be language. I don't care if it's country, whatever, there's going to be some, but this year it was just perfect. People just under chairs, toe tapping, listening to the music, kids throwing footballs, frisbees, cornhole. It just didn't feel like a concert per se when you're just crammed in there body to body, rowdiness. This felt perfect. We really have something special here. You know, you got the bands wrapped around, you got large crowds. In the middle of this, you got families enjoying the band. I think you should photograph the lawn and send it all over the internet. It's just, it's pristine and amazing. So now I do have family that live in McNairy. They live at, my brother Mike, also a 50-year resident. He lives at 202 Deschutes Avenue. So we drive up there, all of us, we commute, we park at my brother's house and we ride the shuttle system for Rock the Locks, which is amazing. And when you leave a large event, they're always crowded. You can't get out of them. And then you guys, whoever's running the traffic control chief, if it's you or whoever it may be, it's outstanding. You don't get that at any other event. So from that aspect, that's great. There's just a ton of good things. The neighbors that are bordering it, I feel for them in some ways. There's got to be I see the city, and after I heard what she had to say, there's a lot of good things that you guys are doing to help that out. I was concerned in 2023 that could be an issue. We chose to walk home Sunday night before the event was over. And we walked it's about 6 blocks from the event to 202 Deschutes Avenue where my brother lives. And it was really bearable. There was no traffic. The noise wasn't that bad. Now, my back window isn't against it, but walking on that street right there, I was like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I think there's been a ton of improvement by everybody. So I think it's going the right direction. I'm really impressed, and it's changed my perspective going this year from 2023. Not that it was negative. It's just that this year I learned a lot, and it's, you guys have come a long ways. Some things I would add would be, these are minor things, but all the traffic stops for the shuttle services, I'd have a bench there. There's a lot of people with kids and tons of equipment. I've got an idea I'm going to try and share with the Parks and Rec about having some benches made with maybe business names on them or something and posted there. And so there's that. So transportation was perfect. Traffic control was, like I said, better than anywhere. Coffee vendors. Everybody wants a coffee vendor at Rock the Locks, man. Got to get that. I'd like to see more advertisement in town. I see advertisement at the Tri-City Airport. I see it all over the internet. You guys do a great job. But I think more community presence would be huge banners on the overpass at the end of town, like Stanfield does for 4th of July. Just maybe a little more community exposure, give you that feel in the community. The little banners are nice, but big banners are better. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I think it was an outstanding event this year. I was super impressed. Our whole family was, and all of our out of town guests loved it. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. At this time, I have a letter to read from Karen Slingler. Karen Slingler, 414 Walla Walla Street. I would like to give you my feedback on the third Rock the Locks festival. On Thursday afternoon, I guess they were doing some sound check, during which my items on my walls were rattling as well as the glass door in my showers. This occurred before 3 p.m. I waited until after 3 p.m. and called the 24-hour number. I was told at that time there was not supposed to be any sound check happening at that time. Well, there was. I got a text that I said I would get a call as soon as the tour was done. When the tour passed my backyard, I asked who was in charge. I spoke to Dave and let him know that I was very unhappy with the things were rattling. He said that he would be there when the tour ended. Dave, Jared, and a lady, I don't remember her name, did come by. Dave had the sound people start the sound again and saw what I was talking about. My metal walls and my metal wall art was rattling, as well as my shower doors. Dave had them do some adjustments to the base, and we agreed. That was at about the rating of 72. With most of the rattling was gone. This made it tolerable, not welcome, but tolerable inside my house, as long as we had the television up loud enough we could hear and was being said on the TV. Dave did come by the next morning to check sound again. Again, it was terrible, or tolerable, not welcome, but tolerable. About 5:30 to about 6:30, the sound was pretty banging on Friday night. There was more of that during the night. Saturday was not too bad until the evening's band came on. Now on Sunday, there must not have been very much monitoring. All day Sunday, the thumping was not tolerable. I was back to our other bedrooms doing some work all day and long, and the noise was more than it was acceptable. By 9 p.m., we we were so ready for the festival to be over. While we appreciate the measures you've taken this year, and it was better than the last 2 years, this is still not a welcome intrusion into the neighborhood. My parents own the house since 1995 and have passed in 2020 and in 2021. We purchased the home and remodeled to make it our forever home. If we had been informed about what was going to happen, we would never settled here. If Umatilla wanted to do something for people of the town, they should have invested in the town with something for all the town would be able to take part in, like recreational centers. I know that the city council meets on Tuesdays and I will not be able to attend. Could you please share my thoughts with them? Please forward this to the city manager, Curtis Singer, and I won't read their phone number outside or email. Okay, thank you very much for the public comment. Council, is there any further questions or any demonstratives from staff? Okay. Moving on to our consent agenda for this evening, we have 7.1 minutes and 7.2. We'll do those separately. Is there any questions on the minutes at this time from council?
No.
Okay, this time, council, we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We approve consent agenda item 7.1.
I'll second.
So real quick, we gotta slow a roll here a little bit. I gotta say who I'm recognizing first. So in this case, nope, you're good. So in this case, chair recognizes Dennis McMillan. Please make your motion.
I'd like to make a motion. We approve consent agenda item 7.1.
Thank you. Do we have a second to the motion, please?
I second.
You get a roll call.
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Smith.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
And thanks everyone for your patience. We're both getting used to this. So if I trip up, I apologize too. We're trying to make the best of it. So we're just going to work through this as a team, and I appreciate your guys' patience as well. At this point, we're looking at 7.2 resolution 10/2026, resolution adopting the 2027 city goals and strategic plans. Dave, do you want to have anything you would like to add?
No, just from the discussion from last time, we got everything incorporated in there. So there's no changes other than, I think you had one clarification on police. And so we got that updated in there. There are other changes.
Fantastic. Okay, is there any questions from council this time? Okay, this time we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would make a motion to adopt resolution 10-2026.
Thank you for your motion. Can we have a second to the motion, please?
I'll second it.
First and seconded. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Smith.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, moving on now to our public hearing for this evening. Council, can we get a vote to go into public hearing at this time? Can we get a motion, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We leave our regular hearing and move into a public hearing.
Thank you. Can we have a second on the motion, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. I will now open the public hearing for ordinance number 881, an ordinance amending chapter 9 of the City of Umatilla Comprehensive Plan to include language outlined in the 2025 Economic Opportunity Analysis. A sign-up list is available for those who wish to testify. A person must testify either orally or unwritten in order to be considered a party to the decision and have the opportunity to appeal. Copies of the applicable criteria are available from staff. City Council must base its decision on these criteria. Testimony and evidence must be directed towards those criterias on or other criterias in the plan or land use regulations believed to be applicable to the decision. Failure to raise an issue with statements or evidence sufficient to afford us and other interested persons an opportunity to respond to those issues may preclude an appeal. If new information is presented at the hearing, you may request a continuance to allow additional time to respond. You may also request the record remain open. A request must be made while the record is still open. Procedures for the hearing and the order of presentation are as follows. 1, staff report. 2, the applicant may present testimony. 3, the testimony in favor of the proposal. 4, testimony in opposition to the proposal. 5, rebuttal testimony. 5, neutral testimony. 6, rebuttal testimony from the applicant. And 7, the record is closed. At this time, is there any conflicts of interest or personal bias to be declared by council members? If so, state the bias or conflict at this time. Looks like there is none. Have there been any ex parte contacts regarding the upcoming matter that the council member needs to declare? If so, please state the ex parte contact at this time. At this time, if there's none, Mr. Stockdale, you have the report.
Thank you, Mayor. Pardon me. I'll turn this over to Zach to introduce the item, and we also have our consultants as well. I will point out, and Zach will probably follow up on me too. We have just because of the order of how our agendas are set up, we do public hearings before we do new business items on here. And so we have kind of 2 items related here tonight. One of them is your resolution item 12, which has this economic opportunity analysis. But tonight's just first reading for ordinance. You'll get a second reading opportunity. So if there are any changes to that between now and that resolution, there's opportunity to make that change. So I just wanted to say that for the record, just because I had quite a few questions from a lot of you about, wait a second. And so hopefully that clarifies that a little bit, and I'll let Zach and our team take that.
All right, thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of City Council. Good evening. For the record, Zach Ratkai, Community Development Director. So the item brought before you this evening is Ordinance 881, which seeks to utilize the economic opportunities analysis, the analysis therein, and the language proposed to amend and change Chapter 9 Economic Development of the Umatilla Comprehensive Plan. We do have our consultants here to go further in depth on the methodologies and the content that was used for this change. This change for Chapter 9 does update the language to reflect new economic opportunities analysis and some of the new economic opportunities that we outlined for the community based upon industrial and commercial uses that are currently being proposed, and definitely have sought a lot of interest in the city of Umatilla. So at this time, to go into further details, I will introduce Brendan Buckley from Johnson Economics and Andrew Parrish from MIG to present on the item.
Thank you. Thank you, Council, for having us. My name is Brendan Buckley. I am a consultant at a firm called Johnson Economics. We work with our partners at MIG on these economic opportunities analyses. We have long experience doing these, and the folks at the city hired us to help go through this process, prepare the analysis, and I'll be explaining more what all this means. I'm going to, host, could you allow me to share my screen, please? I'm going to be giving a presentation here. It's a quick overview of what's in the Economic Opportunity Analysis Report. We'll talk through the major findings and high points, and then we will talk about changes to the comp plan stemming from those. So I'm doing my screen share. No, that's the wrong thing. One moment, please. Oh, hopefully you see a presentation here.
Yeah, we can see it.
Great. So the economic opportunities analysis, what is this? This is part of the statewide planning program. When cities look at expanding their urban growth boundaries, there are statutes that apply about what cities have to do to look at their land supply and their need for more land. This is done really through 2 different analyses. One is for residential, and one is for what we call employment land or economic land. And that's what this project has been about. So we haven't looked at housing or residential land for this project. We've looked at land that is zoned either commercial or industrial to meet your economic and job growth needs. So The EOA is a name that comes from statute, but really it's just an analysis of land need and supply. We've had a chance through this process to have an advisory committee and work with staff to talk about and present this along the way, talk about interim products and ideas to try to get down to the final proposed version that you have in your packet. So various components of the EOA are, we talk about local economic goals and target industries. We forecast economic trends and the job growth that might result from those trends. We then inventory the land and evaluate what land you have left for employment. And this is part of what Andrew will be talking about in a moment. And then we just compare that 20-year land need forecast with your remaining supply and see how they line up. And if you need more land or if you have sufficient land, what are the takeaways? And then we use that to update the comprehensive plan and provide the city with any findings about what you might need to do next regarding your urban growth boundary. So this is the process we go through. The components on the left are sort of the major parts of it, 20-year demand and supply and trends. That all goes into the economic report that is in your packet. And coming out of that, we have different recommendations and strategies. So we are going to really just hit the high points. We'll be here and happy to answer any more questions you have and provide any more detail. But this is a picture of your current employment picture there in city of Umatilla. You have approaching 3,000 jobs. Roughly 1,000 of those, or a third, are in the agriculture sector. So those are either sort of direct agricultural businesses or agricultural support businesses or staffing businesses that are run out of Umatilla. Other industries you have that are of kind of significant size or construction, education, government on all levels, that's local, state, federal. And then also a growing sector is the information sector, which includes data centers, which we'll be talking more about as we go. How do we do the employment forecast? So we start with your current profile, which we just talked about. And we first apply a baseline forecast, which is a forecast that the state economic department does by region. So they do a forecast of what they expect job growth to be in different sectors in Umatilla and Morrow County. That's what they consider that region. And that growth rate comes out to under 1% per year, about 0.7% per year. But we know through our economic trends analysis that the city of Umatilla has been experiencing much faster growth than that. And that's not an adequate forecast to capture how fast you have been growing and how fast that will probably continue. So what we do is we perform an adjusted growth forecast. This is allowed under the statute, as long as we support it all with our trends and discussion of target industries and so on. So we adjust the growth, the baseline forecast. We took a special look at data center jobs and the construction jobs that go along with extensive data center development. And we also looked at what's called indirect and induced employment. So those are all the economic impacts from major investment in the community. In the case of what's been happening in your city and your county and your region, the major investor has been data centers for the last 5 to 10 years. Those are very high investment development. And so that kicks off all kinds of extra economic impacts in the community, employment in other sectors, growth in other sectors, and spending and so on. And then finally, we also looked at household growth and demand. So your community's been growing very quickly in terms of number of households. That has an impact on what you'll need in terms of local services, groceries, dining, all the things that local households need in their community for day-to-day needs. So thinking about that baseline number we had of under 1% growth per year, and then looking at the actual growth that's happened, this is on a county level for the past 10 years. Construction has been growing at 4% per year, education and health at 3%, and then information sector, including those data centers, has been growing at 15% per year and still going. So as mentioned, the data centers support all this other type of employment and construction and support jobs as well. So obviously the realized growth rates from the last 10 years have been quite a bit higher than that baseline growth rate from the state's analysis. So our adjusted forecast that we've come up with that's reflected in this report is that over the next 20 years, so by 2045, you'll be looking at 5,900 total jobs, or essentially we'll call it 6,000 jobs rounding up. So that's basically will be double your current job count. We have 4 known data center projects that we took into account in this forecast because we know those jobs are coming. And so all of this together comes out to an adjusted growth rate forecast of 3.6% per year. Over the past 10 years, the city has actually achieved closer to 5% per year. So we don't feel that this is an overly aggressive or unrealistic forecast. On the right, you see sort of where those sectors in the adjusted forecast are expected to grow the most. So the light green would be just using the state forecast, the low forecast. The dark green bars are the adjusted forecast. So greatly enhanced amount of employment in the information sector, construction sector, and also in things like retail, education, leisure and hospitality, which are your tourism industries, healthcare and social assistance. So all of this is really programming for the continued strong growth in your community in both households and jobs. So from that adjusted jobs forecast, we translate that into a need for land. The way we do that is we say, okay, you're looking at needing jobs in these particular sectors. We have some information on where jobs in those sectors tend to locate in terms of what type of real estate. And we know how much space and how much land that real estate tends to take. So that's how we translate the need for jobs into a need for land in both commercial zoning and industrial zoning. Very quickly, a major component, again, in your region and also in this EOA is the need for data centers and the projected continued growth of the data center industry. So just so we know what we're talking about, this is a very standard type of format that has been seen in your county and region recently. These tend to be average about 125 acres each, have the 4-building format. They all require their own electric substation, which takes 5 to 10 acres, and they average about 140, 150 jobs per site. So these are at 125 acres, very large industrial sites. There are not many other types of industries and manufacturers that need sites of this size. So this is going to be a major component of your land need going forward. This is our estimate of the land need. We've broken out data centers on the right side. So in the middle table, what you're looking at is the job growth in commercial and other types of industry, not data centers, but all the other kinds of jobs that require industrial land. And what we find there in yellow is forecasted 20-year need for 45 acres of commercial land and 76.5 acres of other types of industrial land. And then on the right-hand side, you get to the need for land for data centers. And as you can see, that is by far the largest component of your overall demand, again, because these sites are very large. And we forecasted a need for over 1,000 acres of land to have these large sites for data centers. That includes the 4 projects that we currently know of inside your current UGB. So both the employment growth at those sites and here the land need at those sites are both included in this analysis and to some extent cancel each other out. We know that those are. So next we'll talk, that's the forecast side, the demand side. Next, we'll switch to talking about your current land inventory, and I'm going to turn it over to Andrew to discuss that.
All right, thank you, Brendan.
Mhm.
Andrew Parrish with MIG. We kind of address the land need, the land availability side of this equation. So we're looking at the land in the city of Umatilla. We start with all the land in the urban growth boundary, and we kind of funnel it down to what's the actual net buildable employment acres that you have available. So we take out things like sites that are already developed. We take out things like wetlands, floodplains, steep slopes. And so we're just looking at unconstrained buildable acres. We make some assumptions for future rights of way and infrastructure and things like that. And so we're really trying to balance the availability of land to the need that Brendan has talked about. And so there might be things like infrastructure constraints or property owner willingness or market drivers. And those are the focus of policies and comprehensive plan language that we'll talk about in a moment. Next slide. So this is a picture of our study area. That's the urban growth boundary of Umatilla. The city boundary itself has a variety of kind of interesting shapes in it, but we are looking at the overall urban growth boundary for this analysis. So even if something isn't within the city currently, it's considered to be available if it's in the urban growth boundary. Next slide. So the way that we identify what's employment land is using the city's zoning designations and the comprehensive plan designations. So we're really looking at industrial and commercial land for this analysis. Next slide. So here in blue, we are looking at the employment land within the urban growth boundary. And that is about 40% of the land in the UGB, and it totals about 2,500 acres. Next slide. So there are a number of environmental constraints that we use to say that land isn't necessarily available or appropriate for employment uses. The state of Oregon has a variety of rules about what kinds of things you can use, but this image shows some wetlands, mainly water features that are mapped, and we discount this land and say, you know, it's not going to really yield the amount of employment, like net developable employment acreage that that the city needs. So we deduct those constrained acres from our categories here, and so we're winnowing that down to about 2,100 acres in the employment category. Next slide. Then we look at what's been developed and what's not developed, and then there's a middle category of kind of partially vacant. And the state has a number of rules about what we can use to look at what's partially vacant. It has to do with how valuable the buildings on the property are. So we've done this analysis, and we've also looked at a couple of kind of committed categories like religious facilities and public property, et cetera, that is not considered developable because we're really looking at what's likely to actually develop for those employment uses that Brendan has identified. Next slide. So this is a map of our finding of development status. So basically the green and the yellow things on this slide are lands that are currently available in employment categories for future employment uses. And so you see a number of vacant properties kind of on the periphery that are fairly large and available. And there's a couple of properties closer in that are considered partially vacant that might have some space available for future employment uses, but a lot of the rest of the land is either developed or committed. And then you'll see those constraints overlaid on top there, which limit the capacity of some of those lands. So in terms of what's in the UGB today, we're looking at a total of commercially available land that's about 77 acres and industrial land about 468 acres available currently. So that's less than the forecasted need, which is kind of where the next steps come in.
Thanks, Andrew. So now that we have a forecast of 20-year demand and we have our buildable lands inventory, we can compare the two. And this is that comparison. So I have again broken out data centers from other types of industrial uses. So what we find is a commercial demand for 45 acres and remaining buildable land of 93 acres. So there's a surplus of commercial appropriate land, but there is a small deficit of general industrial land. And then when you get to the data center campus, you have again a forecasted need of over 1,000 acres. Under the middle column there, buildable lands, that 480 acres basically represents the projects we already know about. And so there's a remaining need of, approaching 600 acres of land for those large sites for data. The finding on the previous slide is in sort of gross acres. So it doesn't totally address like, okay, what types of sites are these? How large are they? Are they really appropriate? So we do an additional site need analysis to look at the actual sites that are remaining versus future need. And what we find is that for both commercial and industrial, particularly in commercial, there aren't a lot of large sites remaining, the type of site that may house a shopping center or a big box shopping center, something like that. And so there is a finding of need, even though we found that there's a surplus overall in gross acres of commercial land, there is a finding of need for some specific types of sites that are not currently found in your urban growth boundary. So a couple, what we would call maybe medium sites of 10 to 20 acres, and then some types of smaller sites as well. On the industrial side, there's greater need. Your remaining supply is essentially very small, or it's those sites that we already know are going to be claimed by data center development. So the really on the industrial side, you have some need for medium-sized sites, and then also large acre sites for the data centers. And we estimate the need for 5 additional of those large sites, averaging 125 acres for data centers. So that's the main takeaway of this analysis. In terms of the just numbers. So an important part of this, of the EOA project, is to get to these numbers and say, okay, how much land might you need or not need? And these are those findings. So what do we do about that? This gets into next steps. So today, what you're being asked to look at is this EOA report and these findings. You'll be asked to sort of weigh in and and give your opinion on whether or not these findings are, do you agree with them or if you have reservations? And then also stemming from this, the changes to your comp plan. That's really what you're considering today. The next step of the process will be, what do we do about this and what does it mean for the urban growth boundaries? So the most important thing coming out of this analysis is probably to ensure that you have the proper sites available for the next 20 years. So you're probably looking at a UGB expansion given these findings. Another possibility is a UGB swap. If there are lands within your current urban growth boundary that are not developing or they seem to be the wrong fit for your needs, you can look at swapping part of your current urban growth boundary and perhaps moving it somewhere else. Another option is rezoning lands, either non-employment lands or commercial to industrial lands and so on, to try to get the right balance. Encouraging infill and redevelopment of current sites that you have. Maybe they have sat vacant for a long time. Maybe they're obsolete. The building is obsolete, and there are better ways to use those sites. Facilitate reuse of brownfield sites. Brownfield sites mean generally that they're contaminated somehow and they need some kind of cleanup before they can be reused. And finally, ensure that your other plans reflect your growth priorities. So making sure that your TSP, your transportation system plan, your zoning, your capital improvement plan, that all these things reflect where you want to see this industrial growth happen, and make sure that you're making the proper investments to get the infrastructure where it needs to go. Zoning and development code, this just means making sure that the zones allow what you want to do. Andrew will be talking a little bit more about this, but really it's just making sure that the land uses that you'd like to see are reflected in your current zoning. So from that, I want to move on to have Andrew talk about the actual changes that we're recommending to the comp plan right now. And that is the those changes that are before you tonight. So I'll turn it over to Andrew again.
All right, thank you. So the updates that we recommend basically strike the entirety of Chapter 9, the Economic Development chapter. A lot of that has not been updated since 1975. So on the right-hand side here, you see a table that's in your comp plan currently. Known area developments 1975 to 1985. I was born in 1984 and I consider myself an old man. So I think this is an older comprehensive plan that you have. The new language that we've drafted provides some narrative that's from the new EOA, some new economic development goals, and some actionable policies. So let's talk a little bit about what those are on the next slide here. So the overall goal is that the city of Umatilla aspires to remain a strong and vibrant economy and a place to live by supporting the health, retention, and expansion of existing businesses while welcoming new opportunities to the region. So there's a number of kind of policies and narrative that support that goal. And we've tried to replicate the kind of organization that you have in your comprehensive plan currently. So the narrative that we provided, it reinforces Umatilla's position as a regional hub. It talks about the employment forecast that Brendan went into some detail about, and it talks about the land supply and the demand as it stands today. So there's always a balance of how in-depth and in detail you want to get in your comprehensive plan about that kind of stuff, because it will be out of date, in the next 5 or 10 years. But we've tried to strike that balance for you here and provide some more up-to-date information to support any decisions that you might want to make in the coming years. Next slide. So the kind of underlying goals and policies there are related to these 6 goals. There's a number of policies that are nested within these, but I'll just note the goals here. So supporting traditional and emerging industries and businesses in the city is goal number 1. maintaining and enhancing business partnerships and coordination, promoting small business development, developing and attracting a skilled workforce, strengthening downtown as a commercial corridor, and preparing for and ensuring economic resilience. Those are the main goals that are in your comprehensive plan, or that we're recommending that you put into your comprehensive plan. And there's a number of policies that are serving each of those goals. Next slide. I think that concludes our presentation here for and we're happy to take questions and comments.
Any questions from council at this time? Mr. McLean, with the mic, can I ask?
Yeah, so coming to the city council from the planning commission, none of the numbers, the acreages or anything like that are really a surprise to me. The one question I do want to ask is, since you guys regularly do this sort of analysis, did you find any surprises in the analysis for Umatilla?
I don't know. I think the greatest surprises, and we've worked fairly recently with Hermiston as well. So the surprises for us are just how rapidly the region is growing and how rapidly the data center development is happening. And in the case of Umatilla, you know, our firm worked on similar analysis, I think 6 years ago. And that was supposed to also be looking at 20 years worth of land. And that land, at least on the industrial side, that land was used in about 5 years. So the pace of growth is definitely eye-opening out there. And we tried hard to take that into account this time and be more realistic, we think, about that aggressive growth.
So a follow-up, if I might,
Yes.
would be with the not normal growth rate. You know, if somewhere down the road we are looking at another UGB expansion, this isn't your guys' bailiwick, but is the state going to be difficult to deal with when we've got an out of ordinary growth rate that's driving these equations and analyses?
We've worked with DLCD and checked in with them throughout this process, and I think they've been very supportive and communicative. And I can say that at this point, they are the state level seems to be accepting this pace of growth, particularly in the data center industry. And as long as the analysis is backed up and supporting these findings, they have been amenable to cities making these decisions. Now, getting to your question, I don't know how state will still feel 5 to 10 years from now, but I think they've been supportive, and they are supportive at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any further questions from council at this time? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen, for your report. At this time, we're looking for the applicant to present testimony.
Brendan,
Yeah.
can you make us the host again, please?
Okay.
The city is the applicant, so
Do you have any testimony you want to give us?
we do not have anything additional to add.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any testimony in favor of the proposal? Is there any testimony in opposition of the proposal? If there's none in opposition, neutral testimony for number 5 here. Yeah. Do we have a sign up sheet form for this one as well? I noticed, is there one back there?
I made it myself.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Nancy.
I made it.
I don't know. Us Sipes are very good at giving you extra paperwork, Nancy. We appreciate you.
I put, in case there's public testimony on this, Nancy, so hopefully that'll help. I don't know if this is the right spot or not. And I certainly don't have authorization from the other 19 people that sent in a concern in May about planning. However, we never heard back from our complaints that we submitted. The city doesn't really have a complaint procedure necessarily, and so we didn't know how to get anything to anyone. And every time we came here, we just got dismissed. So we submitted it as a group. We don't really have a name. We just didn't want it to come from any one person's email. So we Googled, like we tried to do a new Google account, and then what came up is what was the suggestion. So that's what we set it up as. And then we got blasted on all sorts of social media as though we were some organized group, and we're not, we're just neighbors. But we never heard back. And so we emailed and was like, hey, what's the status? And we found out that everything was just dismissed. And so I get it, like none of our concerns are going to go anywhere. And okay, but there's two sections of our planning commission concerns that I think might relate to this. And I just don't want it to get missed in the discussions. So what we requested was the city needs to add zoning restrictions in the industrial area to limit height to protect our river views. The city of Umatilla has a treasure with the river, and protecting the views of the river should be a top priority. The time to start this was before the agreements with corporations were made. However, since the planning that should have been done was not, the time is urgent and now to protect us from further issues. We understand that industrial zoning for this area needs to remain. However, there can and should be restrictions on height for the industrial zone to protect one of the very few areas of natural beauty in our community. And then the second request that we had in there was restrictions on nuclear energy must be placed in the industrial zones of Umatilla to prevent nuclear energy facilities within Umatilla and its urban growth boundaries. There should be no approval by the city of Umatilla to support nuclear facilities in our community, nor our growth boundaries. And while I understand that Oregon currently bans nuclear facilities in the state, there is legislation that keeps inching its way forward to add that. And the rivers are places where nuclear facilities need to go or close to the rivers. And so our concern as a neighborhood at that time that continues to remain is we don't want to live directly above a nuclear facility, and we don't want to live in a town that's miles from. We don't want to become the Simpsons in Springfield. So just one of those things that we were requesting. So it didn't go anywhere then, but I'm hoping it might now. Thanks.
Thank you.
This time, any rebuttal testimony from the applicant? Zach, do you have anything you want to add?
Specific to this item, it relates to our comprehensive land use plan, so it's not speaking directly to any zoning code amendments at this time. We will take the comments on the record, and when we approach the zoning items, then we will have additional information on building heights.
Okay, awesome. At this time, we are looking for a motion to close the record unless staff, is there anything we need to add? Dave?
Yeah, we're gonna recess it for 2 weeks to that second hearing, but we can, so the hearing is technically, we can take comments on this all the way through that second reading. And so we'll keep so if anyone has any comments to submit in writing, they can do that between now and through that next second hearing as well.
Okay, we should have added that to the script. I would have fixed that. Sorry.
Yeah, not a problem. Sorry.
It's not a problem. Thank you. This time we're looking for a motion to recess until our second meeting, until our next meeting in 2 weeks. Mr. DeFloff.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we recess out of our public and go into our regular session.
Thank you for your motion, sir. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second it.
Oh, hold on. Give that one to Katie. I recognize you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll second that.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call, please?
Counselor Funderburk.
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor Smith.
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Back to our regular meeting. Moving on now to agenda item 9.1, the new business item, local business grant and downtown revitalization grant.
Good night,
Go ahead.
Mayor and councilors. I'm here to present two applications for our grant program. So the first one is Umatilla Inn. They are applying for our local business grant and they're wanting to do some improvements, which includes an old deck and stairs. The total project cost is estimated to be $22,485. The second one is greater purpose heating and cooling. They are wanting to add a sidewalk and curb to their new building. The total project cost is estimated to be $17,300. So we have a new grading criteria. Myself and Zach, we go through the applications, then we grade them and then bring it for approval to City Council. So after doing the review, we would like to recommend award for both grants. So before we move to get a motion, I would like to ask if you guys have any questions for me.
Council, this time, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. At this time, we're looking for a motion to approve both grants.
Mr. Mayor,
Smith.
I would make,
I move that we approve item 9.1, local business grant and downtown revitalization grant.
Perfect. Can you say it one more time into the microphone? I think they missed you.
Well, it died. It's been doing that
Did
all
it
night.
stop? Yes. Can we get the amounts as well?
Yep. I move that we approve local business grant and downtown revitalization grant to Umatilla Inn and Suites for the amount of $22,485 and to Greater Purpose Heating and Cooling grant of $17,300.
Thank you for your motion, sir. Can we get a second motion, please?
I would second that motion.
Thank you for your motion, or thank you for your second. Can we get a roll call?
Aye.
Aye.
Millen,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. Moving on to 9.2, resolution number 11, 2026, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Umatilla declaring the City Council's official position in support of the passage of the bond measure 3168 to finance construction of a new police bond. At this time, I want to just say that I still very much opposed to taking an official position, and I still think that this, even upon reading the recommendation from legal counsel, I still think that this puts us at potential legal jeopardy. And I think that we need to be protecting of ourselves. However, that's why we're here. Is there any further questions or debate on this before we continue? Okay, with no further questions. Oh, Mr. DeFluff.
Sir, I was the one that drafted the resolution. If anybody's got any questions or whatever, they can ask me or whatever. I know the city can't take a stance on it, but I just felt that it was important, and it has nothing to do with the secondary piece of the part of it of the city giving back any kind of incentives or anything of that nature. This is only about the bond. It's for the bond going in front of the people that we can support the police department. I think it's important for us as a council and us as a city to support that bond. So I don't think it's out of the ordinary that we do that. So that's why I presented it.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for your effort in creating that document. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
If there's any further questions?
I did. I want to double down on this because like I did go through because I had concerns and I think it was ORS, 260665 or something. And it does specifically say that elected officials can express their opinion. And basically what this is doing, we're not fishing for vote. We're going to go, trying to buy votes because either way, it's going to be part of policy, city policy. And it will be as far as my understanding, it'll be applied to every single person in town, whichever way they voted. So we're not trying to fish for votes or pay for votes. So
Mhm. Thank you. Any other further questions or comments at this time? Okay, at this time, we are looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 11-2026.
Thank you for your motion. Can we get a second the motion, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you for your second. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 9.3, resolution number 12, 2026, a resolution adopting the 2025 economic opportunities analysis as a supporting document for the Umatilla Comprehensive Plan. So any questions on that from Dave? Do you want anything again you want to add?
No, nothing to add, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments about that from council? Get lots of head nods. Okay, at this time, we're looking for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion, we adopt resolution 12-2026.
Thank you very much. Can we get a second to the motion, please?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk. Aye. Counselor Duffloff.
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
Okay, moving on now to our second public comment this evening. Chief, is there anyone that signed it correctly? Thanks, Chief. Up first, we have Heidi Sipe.
Heidi Sipe, 120 Rio Sendabit here on behalf of Umatilla School District. Wanted to give a kudos to Scott Coleman and his team. It's not easy to have roads all torn up going to a brand new building. And I get things happen, and he's been really wonderful about communicating updates as he has them. We all know working with construction stuff, that just isn't always a thing. And so we've been doing everything we can to remain in good partnership with all that. And I just really appreciate the work that he's done there. The other piece, just as a informational item that is, we're thankful it went through. So the way that transportation works for school buses is kind of complicated. And unless we have permission to transport in a shorter distance than the law requires, we have to get approval from the State Board of Ed to do that. And so we've been transporting students all along what should be walkable areas, but they're just not safe areas actually, because we don't have sidewalks going up Powerline. We don't have sidewalks through much of South Hill, and there's a lot of blind corners and a lot of areas there. So the request that we put in before the State Board of Education that thankfully they approved states that until Powerline improvements are done, and the sidewalks are completed along Madison and Grant, and I think it might be Tyler too, but I know I've shared the map with them, that we will bus. Now, the cost to that is roughly $300,000 a year that we're having to do because the sidewalks aren't there. So it is a big hit to us, but there's really no price that we would ever place on a child's life. And so that's what we are doing in response to that challenge. So we just appreciate the work that Scott's been doing for communicating. He's doing everything within his power. I could pretty well guarantee you that he's pulling every rabbit out of a hat that he can. So I want to make sure I give gratitude to that and just keep you in the loop. The State Board of Ed did approve that. We are ponying up the money, and we'll be really excited when that's done. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no further comments at this time. There's no discussion items, so we'll move on to the mayor's message. I just want to say thank you to city staff for their continual work, especially up on Madison Street. And once again, thanks to Scott for all of his hard work. And I know sometimes that job is very thankless, so we definitely want to highlight Scott and I really appreciate him and all of the staff members that work really hard. Also, congratulations to the Parks and Rec staff for working their hearts out and getting Rock the Locks all set up, and everyone who pitched in to help out. We seriously can't thank you guys enough for putting that all together, and it's definitely appreciated. And I know it's definitely a community program that we look forward to making better and to continually improving and making it more livable for those who live in the community, but also making it something that's still profitable and efficient and can be something that is as successful as it possibly can be for as many people as possible, especially with a large economic impact. At this time, I also want to say thank you to the council for helping me, work through some different situations and trying to get this finessed and figured out of how we're going to continually making sure that we have good decorum amongst each other and we're still being respectful and we're working together to make sure that happens and we're going to continue working down that path. Other than that, happy spooky season, everyone. It's nice to see Halloween decorations coming up and brings me some happiness in everyone's lives. So let's go ahead and move on now to the council information and discussion section. We'll start down with Miss Corinne Funderburk.
So I just wanted to again thank the city staff and Scott Coleman and everybody, Public Works, everybody that worked so hard for Rock the Locks, and appreciate all your hard work. You guys all come together, and it's just amazing that you are willing to do that. Give up your own time from your own families to work. Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just checking. I also want to thank for the opportunity for going to the League of Oregon Cities training. That was great to get out there, and it's been really fun to actually, now that I've gone quite a few times, just now I'm building some connections with other people, and I've enjoyed seeing them again. I talked to a lot of vendors, and I might send forward Mr. Stockdale some of the emails because I cannot answer their questions. They want to meet with me, and I'm like, I can't. So I'm going to forward you those because I just don't even know what they're saying. So I just was there for the free stuff. And looking forward to Halloween as well. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
You know, it's kind of funny you say Halloween because that's what it looked like when you're going table to table. Trick or treat.
I know. Several times.
It's a good thing they were handing out big bags
They
too,
were.
because you,
Got a lot.
I mean, yes, it was quite it was quite refreshing to go to the LOC. There was a lot of information there, a lot of good networking with other communities that are going through similar obstacles that we are, as far as growth, as far as just change. You know, there's been a lot of change in this last year or so. Again, I want to echo Rock the Locks was amazing. Parks and Rec, I do have to have a big kudos to Luke. Luke was the right-hand man for everybody. He was on point that weekend. And I know that all the staff had long hours and put in a lot of effort, and it showed because all the small details were taken care of. We didn't have, as far as I know, any real big hiccups, any problems as far as safety, security. The sound system was amazing. When we did the tour, myself working in the industry of music for as long as I have, I was blown away by what they can do by facing speakers different ways and putting them in front of each other in time line, and it's just crazy. So modern technology is crazy. Again, LOC was fantastic. A lot of really good information. I encourage all of you to attend one if you can, because it's amazing. There's a lot of really good information there and some really good keynote speakers. This year was really good as well. Again, support the bond. You know, they were talking about growth. We're only going bigger and bigger and bigger. And so we have to have some place to put those people. We have to have some place to keep us safe. Keep those people safe for their jobs and be able to do their jobs effectively. I can definitely see in the next 3 to 5 years coming back for a lot more officers, and we have to provide that space for them to be able to do their jobs effectively. No different than coming up probably pretty soon is a fire. We're going to need a fire station as well. Welcome to the council, our new attorney. Thank you very much. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you. Matter of fact, why don't you introduce her real quick? Have you introduced her yet?
Yeah.
Again?
Not in person.
Yeah,
I'll let her do
in
that.
person.
Well, let me introduce myself.
Yes,
okay?
please.
Mayor and council, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Joanna Lyons Antley, and I am your new city attorney, and it's just been a pleasure to be here. I feel like I'm at home here. There's a lot of commonalities that I think that I share with a lot of your important staff and people who work here. So I really feel like it's been a great fit for us, and I hope I can bring some of my knowledge and expertise to you guys and just some ideas. So thanks.
Welcome. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Katie McMillan.
Yeah, I'm just gonna reiterate, Rock the Locks. It was amazing. It was just like always. I was really impressed on Sunday night. Usually it's dwindled down quite a bit on Sunday because everybody's gone home, and there was still a ton of people there. So I was impressed with that. Where's Josiah? He's just like, he's part of the group here and he's just gone. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. Oh, okay. I just didn't see him. I'm like, wait, he's not allowed to do that. And then I got to put a little shameless plug in here. So elephant ears for everybody who didn't get one this year because they haven't been out. Friday, October 10th at CVI, the new school, elephant ears are going to be up there. So if anybody's wanting one, you better go up there. It supports the seniors of 2026. Also at the homecoming game this weekend, or this week too, they're having some fundraisers. So go up there and get an elephant ear, eat some chili at the football game, cheer Umatilla on. And then I want to also say I appreciate, you know, what you're doing, trying to keep the peace up here. It felt a lot more peaceful today. Even though we don't always agree, I felt like it came across a lot more peaceful and just, it was nice. It was nice. So I appreciate that. So, and then everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
You know, it's most of the day. I was looking here, trying to find the ad for it.
Ms. Stipe, do you happen to know? Elephant ears.
I think I know this. Yeah, I was gonna say the signups. I know the signups were like 7 to like 7:30 or something like that. It's almost all day long. So it's
I thought it
good
was,
majority.
it's o'clock.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
But majority of the day you go up there,
Had to
you can get
clarify.
one.
Definitely can put that on the record, Nancy. I'm not sure what time o'clock that is.
Yeah. There. Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
That's long.
I don't have a lot to say. I've had a number of citizens ask me about Rock the Locks. I was unable to attend. Were there more people this year? Less? Just, I know we don't have financials on it yet, but just, you know, 1,000-foot view of what happened.
Yeah, I can give a very preliminary, very high level quick report. So you'll have your final post-event report on December 2nd this year. Ticket sales were up about a little more than 15% than they were in the year before. Attendance was up, but not as much as ticket sales. And so that's part of what we talked about before as we've continued to grow the event. In the beginning, we have a lot more giveaways, a lot more, like the sponsorships got more tickets and things like that. As we've focused more on cost recovery, a lot of those comp tickets were reduced, and we looked at more ways in our marketing to get more folks out. And so our ticket sales are up, and our attendance numbers are also up, but not as much as the ticketing sales.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Next up, we have Dennis McMillan.
Well, again, it's just an echo chamber, but thanks to all the staff of the city. You guys did a great job. I hope you guys all got rested after that event. And it was a fantastic event. I wasn't like super thrilled about the lineup, but it ended up being fantastic 3 days. And I think I spent more time talking with people, you know, whether it's, you know, I think I've talked to almost everyone of you up there. I even met the new attorney. Yeah. And anyway, it was a great time and I learned a lot. This time was like more of an educational thing. And so it was just fantastic to see how things actually operate and stuff. And I got a really good idea how things work. But anyway, that's about all I got. So I just want to say thanks for all the hard work you guys put in.
Thank you. Over to you, Mr. McLean.
So, excuse me. If you haven't caught City View on the site, the city site, you should. It is an excellent update about what's going on in the community. just want to point out that we are living up to our responsibilities to, attempt to get information out about what's going on. Unless it's changed, it's in the banner across the top and you can click on it, and it's a much better document, live on a computer rather than printed, but you can print it if you work at it. Thanks everybody for being here. They left me a couple things that, usually are gone by the time it gets to me. Thank everybody for being here and, sharing your feelings with us. We do listen. Rock the Locks, thank staff and everybody at the city that was involved in that and all the time and effort that went into that. Like Dennis, I had an eye-opening experience with more exposure to the whole event. And, the one thing I didn't catch was, I think we also need to, give some thanks to the sponsors, for the event. Now they've got different motivation, but everything that I saw that the sponsors actually do was, top notch. Impressive when you start digging into the whole event and get a bit different view. With that, I'm done.
And I found City View real easy. Still up there on the top.
Right across the top.
Right across the
Awesome.
top.
Fantastic. All right. At this time, we're looking for a motion to enter our executive session at this time, going into our next agenda item here.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. We leave our regular session, enter into executive session.
Thank you very much. Can we get a second on the motion, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Counselor Funderburk,
Aye.
Counselor Duffloff,
Aye.
Counselor Katie McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor Smith,
Aye.
Counselor Dennis McMillan,
Aye.
Counselor McLean.
Aye.
We are now in executive session. The city will now meet pursuant to ORS 1926028 to consult with your attorney regarding legal rights and duties regarding current litigation or litigations that are more likely not to be filed. Representatives of the news media, city manager, department directors, and the city attorney shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report or otherwise disclose any deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general topics of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made during the executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to